T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central, coming to you from the Memorial Aaron Rodgers Fondue Party. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy, and I carry the cheese for...
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir.
I'm just here to have a good time.
The earth has shifted on its axis. Can you hear it? Can you feel it? The cheddar curtain has fallen in Wisconsin. That's right. There is weeping. Aaron Rodgers is no longer a Green Bay Packer. Traded to the New York Jets for draft picks. This is sports and other stuff. Good to see you, boys. Let's get this sorted out. Lugs, tell me about the Rodgers deal. Do you like or no like? Go.
I'm just sort of on the fence either way. Personally, he was in a cocoon in Green Bay. They would put up with that nonsense. But now he's in New York, and he's going to be like this big Macy's Day balloon floating across the sky, and they're going to take some serious shots. He's going to be deflated. And let's be honest, is the Jets, are they where old Green Bay quarterbacks go to die? I mean, I don't see Rodgers lasting a season. I think he will say, I don't want to play with these kids. I'm tired. I'm going to retire.
Not even a season.
No, sir.
T-Dog.
Well, that'll be great in terms of the draft compensation for the Jets.
True. That's
because
good. That's good.
What it is the Jets are flip-flopping their first-round pick. They were the 13th overall pick this year, and they're now the 15th. And they also get a fifth-rounder. And what they give up is that flip-flop pick, the 42nd overall pick, so second-rounder, a 2007 selection in this year's draft, and then a second-round pick in the 2024 draft that can become a first-round pick if Rodgers plays 65%. So from what Lugs is saying, that'll stay a second-rounder. So that's good, I guess, for the Jets. I guess for this year, not good for the Jets. For maybe next year, good for the Jets.
Okay, wait. 65% of 17 games is 11.05. So he's got to play 11 and a quarter?
I think that'll happen. I mean, he's had some injury-plagued seasons, but for the most part, he's played all the games.
Damn.
So, it's probably going to be a first-rounder for the Packers. And I think this is one of those. Again, it's like the Bears-Panthers one. Obviously, at the time of the trade, it's a win-win. I think. Obviously, time will tell who's the winner, who's the loser. That's where we find out who won or lost the draft. But no one knows at the transaction who wins or loses. For the Jets, they had a lot of key pieces last year, but God, the misfire that they made 2 years ago
with
in
Zach Wilson.
drafting.
Yep.
That's what set into motion them going with the 39-year-old, soon to be 40-year-old quarterback. But with all the pieces in place around him, as long as it works, they're going to be a possible playoff team. And Green Bay, they just need to get off this roller coaster of dealing with this lunatic.
Go ahead and say it, nut job. I was
going to say lunatic. If you want to say nut job, that's fine too. This guy who is so full of himself, and again, I think we all agree this is the crazy thing about Aaron Rodgers. Like he had a down season last year. But before that, he was MVP 2 years ago. I still think he's a top tier quarterback in the league. His personality is so overwhelming. Even though you're giving up a guy who usually will put you in position to be in the playoffs, you just need to get off this ride. You just don't want to deal with this anymore.
Okay.
It's just this drama.
I was out of town today and was in the car quite a bit, so I had a lot of time to listen to sports radio. And did you guys hear any of the presser? Okay, a couple things come to mind. Number one, he said, I live in a nice house in Wisconsin that cell service is shaky, but you can FaceTime me anytime. I never got a lot of FaceTime callbacks from anybody in the Green Bay office. I thought cell service FaceTime kind of synonymous. Lugs, what is happening with them?
Well, I mean, let's
Is that
be
made up?
honest.
Is that made up?
That T has kind of warped his sense of reality. I mean, obviously, the Green Bay folks tried their dead level best and have for 3 years now.
Easily, yeah.
Ever since they drafted Love, they've been trying to just massage, whatever, his ego, Aaron Rodgers' ego, and he was never going to let it happen. At that point, once he got his money, it was done. He was done with Green Bay.
So the man made 50.
Hell, he didn't show up for OTAs. He didn't show up for anything.
Man makes $50 million a year and has bad cell service? Are you kidding me?
Well, and to be fair, this ties into what you're saying.
Me?
Also, I love that he's trying to spit it like Brian Gutekunst is the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? To be fair to what J Boy and Lugs are saying, is like, once you get paid that amount, you have to build a bridge a little bit. Like, if they're willing to pay you that much, you can't be like, well, they never responded to me. Well, if you have a problem with them, why don't you talk to them? Why do they have to be the one to always reach out?
Children today.
It's just really fascinating for a guy who is, like I said, he's very talented, he's very intelligent, but emotionally, he is stunted. He is a stunted human being.
He's a 9-year-old kicking his feet.
Emotionally intelligent, he is that of so like a 9-year-old. So he has to tell me if he wants to tell. It's like how. I don't know.
He said also, I haven't spent a lot of time in New Jersey, and I'm looking forward to that. number two, and I look forward to buying a house nearby. I haven't spent much time around here. Have you guys been to the Meadowlands? You know where the stadium is? It's the Meadowlands. It's a former, Superfund site, isn't it?
Right. I mean, it's where Jimmy Hoffa's body is, right? I mean, it has its own sort of cachet of bloody memories there.
And the final thing he said, I've heard a lot about the New York media, and I look forward to working with you guys. I can hear the barbecue grills cooking up already with the spit, can't you? Rodgers is spinning on the rotisserie.
They're loving it.
It's incredible. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, the headlines, they'll have a headline every day, especially when it starts going south. Oh my goodness!
Yes, it'll be a fervor of emotional sawed-off shotgun blast to his face, Monday through Sunday. So hopefully he's used that. Pat McAfee, he can lie down and take a few of those buck shots, but there's a few that are going to get through. So.
Oh man.
Well, and honestly, I don't think he'll come out for any pressers. If it goes badly, I don't think he's smart enough not to step into that kind of fire, but it's coming. It's coming.
He's such a loose cannon. He'll send out his press releases on a carrier pigeon's leg and send it out to Bristol and I guess to LA. They'll get it out there. Yeah.
The only good thing he said,
old school tweets,
is Joe Namath did offer him to wear his number 12, which is retired by the Jets. But Rodgers said, no, sir, I will wear number 8. So there's something that he threw to the fan base and said, well, I'll do the right thing. I'm not going to wear number 12.
What a man. What a chivalrous human being he is.
Okay, we're coming up on 9 minutes into the program. That's all the time we're allotted for to talk about Aaron Rodgers. So let's move on. Let's talk about the draft, which is just hours away. Where do we want to go with this, T-Dog?
Want to start with the Panthers and then get into the agents?
Yeah.
Okay. So draft. We're down to obviously number 1 since it's this week. The Panthers.
Yep.
Should they draft a quarterback?
Yes, of course they have to.
Who will it be? Who will it be?
Yeah. Does anyone want to deviate? I mean, I know Vegas has essentially told us that we're dopes if we go any other way. Even though Reddit is trying to make it seem like Levis might go number 1, which that's not going to happen.
Not gonna happen.
See, I think if I'm the Panthers, I would go with C.J. Stroud. I would. Bryce, he's not going to be in the league more than 2 years. I mean, they will destroy him. I mean, they just will. I mean, he's not big enough to take this beating. I mean, look at the size of these human beings coming at him.
I will
2 years.
I will quickly put on the devil's advocate hat, even though in reality, I will also then say essentially reverberate what you said, Lugs. It sounds like they're going to draft Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Frank Wright, if you look at his career with the Colts for the most part, even before that with Philly, he is a quarterback whisperer. He usually gets the most out of them to help the offense. And they do have a good offensive line, the Panthers. And he is a smart quarterback. I think he is very quick to recognize where he needs to go with the hot read or where the pressure is coming from and whatnot. Now I'm going to take that hat off and kind of go with Lugs on this. His size, if you look at his height and what his playing weight is, I'm not going by his beefed up, went to the buffet for like 4 weeks straight for combine
for
weight.
For the pro day,
the additional
pro day.
Yeah, no, his combine. He didn't even weigh at pro day.
Okay.
His size is similar to that of Doug Flutie. Now I know Doug Flutie has great memories for a lot of people in the NFL. I hate to throw some cold water on people. His best year, Doug Flutie, he was essentially 4 years a starter. In 12 years, he was in the NFL. I'm not counting his years with the Calgary Stampede, where I know he had success, but that's a CFL. He was essentially in the league for 12 years. He was a starter for 4 of them. His best year was in 1999 with the Buffalo. He threw for a little over 3,000 yards. He threw 19 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. That's his best year. And I know the league has changed. Yes, the league's changed. Like Lugs has said, players have gotten bigger on the defense. Players have gotten faster on the defense. They've gotten stronger on the defense. They know how to attack protections and stuff. They don't always line up their best pass rusher on the left side. They're like, oh, you have a great left tackle? We're going to put our best rusher on your right tackle. Like he is. I agree with him. I don't like to say 2 years, but I agree with him. I hope the guy succeeds. I have nothing against Bryce Young personally, but it's his durability, not his ability, that I worry about.
So where are you on this 2 years thing, man? Listen to this. 4 more years. I think he'll go 4 more years. Not 2 years.
I don't think so.
2 years in the league. Come on, Lugs. Come on.
Well, if they indeed draft him, he's going to have to start right off because he will be the face of the franchise. So he will get around the 13th, 14th game this year. He will get injured. I mean, that's pretty typical. And then the second season, he'll probably get injured even earlier. I just, again, I don't wish anything bad for him, but his maximum playing weight is probably 185, 190 at most. And we'll give him a generous 5'9". And even all of Doug Flutie and the eugenics or whatever that pill that
Frank Thomas.
Frank Thomas. Yeah. It ain't going to help.
Okay, so does this continue the streak? Not a streak, but certainly history of Heisman Trophy winners who don't do well in the NFL. We've had a pretty good run on that, a lot.
The only one that comes to mind off the top of my head who bucks the trend is Lamar.
Right. Who actually won an MVP, right?
The guy who is bona fide, who actually won the Heisman. So it's pretty much him because, yes, Kyler, while talented, and he did get paid, I will give him that. I know none of us are biggest fans of Kyler, but Kyler, kind of a hit, but I'm saying that very
right.
But anyway, I was just it is a problem, but it shows you the difference between college and the pros. I mean, it is a difference.
True.
But anyway, kind of get back to Panthers. Free agency, I think they've done a pretty solid job of kind of shoring it up. They added Adam Thielen to be their chain mover and coach, and they added DJ Chark to be their big play threat. They added Hayden Hurst, who's the tight end, who's a solid hands, which every usually rookie quarterback needs a tight end to kind of just give them that safety valve. They signed Andy Dalton to be the backup teacher, who I think at this point is going to be good at that. And Miles Sanders gives them a playmaker out of the backfield. And on defense, they added Deshaun Williams, who's just a big body who can clog running lanes and generate some pressure. So, but other than that, do you all see any weaknesses that they really need to address, or still weaknesses maybe they still have on their roster?
Well, I think they need a number one wide receiver and an edge rusher.
Yeah.
And their backfield, their defensive backfield is a little shaky for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've got some serious needs. I guess quarterback is Dalton could take over if he has to and do an okay job. I wonder about, Matt Corral. Where does this all leave him? And I guess they've got, is it Jacob Eason is the third in the quarterback, whatever.
He's probably going to get cut.
I figured that.
Yeah.
So
I think
I was just going to say they have a lot of needs, but the quarterback would be the top one.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think you're right, though. I mean, obviously they give up DJ Moore to get the first overall pick, but like we've kind of talked about, not to say there aren't some good wide receivers and maybe guys 4 or 5 years down the road that make us eat crow, but people that do it for a living that aren't us, who are pro scouts. It feels like this is after like two really great years of wide receivers. This feels like it's solid. There's no one who's going to be like a number one wide receiver in this group.
But I like Thielen. I think he's a good sure hands guy, but he's lost some steps with injury and stuff. But I think he's there and he's reliable for them and can be there like a slot guy in third down when you need a couple yards. He's your guy. I think he was a good pickup. Sorry to see him leave the Vikings, actually. I thought he was good with that makeup of guys they had and helping Jefferson mature a little bit too.
And I think coming out of the draft, I think Najigba is probably, if they could get him, I think he can play inside or outside because they need some just pizzazz, some star power now.
Yeah. I mean, they could trade up from they have the 39th pick in the second round. They could possibly maybe package something to get Jackson Smith and Jigba. So you're right, Lugs.
I think they'd be fun to watch. If they get a quarterback that everybody at least is buzzing about and these extra parts, I think they could be, better than they used to be. Just fun to watch. You're going to want to tune in and say, I want to see what Bryce Young actually looks like. Or, I don't know. They could be interesting.
He will put some people in the seats for sure.
I think it's a good new regime coming in. What the hell? Give them a try.
And I guess these are the last two things. because Lugs already answered this question because I agree with him. But who do you think they should draft, J-Boy?
I'm going with Bryce Young. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I think they'll do it. I don't know if it's what I do, but I think that's what they'll do. Yeah.
And we all agree they shouldn't trade down.
No.
No, you got to. No, you've that ship sailed. They already traded away a good receiver.
It messed us up already once.
Okay, that finishes up that.
I just want to point out one thing. I did some crack research from our team here. Okay, since 1967, the draft back then, there have been 119 quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and only nine are in the Hall of Fame. That's less than 1%. I don't even know who the 9 are. We could probably figure it out pretty quick. But do you see anybody? Yeah, I mean Elway. You got
Marino.
Yeah, 67. That's going way back there.
Peyton.
Yep.
67. I don't know.
I mean, you're going back to Len Dawson.
I remember.
Possibly. I mean, that's a long time ago.
I think that number will go up here though pretty soon because obviously once Rodgers retires, he'll be a Hall of Famer. When Patrick Mahomes,
and he was the first rounder, wasn't he? Rodgers just at the end,
he was
24th or something like that.
Yeah. So
do you see any in this
Patrick
round
Mahomes,
though? In this round of guys,
no,
none that I feel confident.
Put on
in
your
saying.
magic thinking cap there.
No, I would say no.
It's kind of fascinating to think about. I just love that kind of stuff. It's like, really?
I mean, the guy that should, just because of his physical prowess, is Richardson. But I don't know if he's had enough football experience to. I just no, it's a sort of a flat. You've got next year it'll be May and Caleb Williams, and those two guys should be something. But this year, no.
Yeah, if I was gonna, I guess to answer the question up front, no. If I was gonna extrapolate, and I know maybe we'll get into it in the next part of it in terms of the being an agent. I still believe in C.J. Stroud. I do, and if we're gonna go, what the hell? Let's just go for it. Yeah, kind of like what Lug said. Anthony Richardson. I just feel even if he isn't a complete player early on, if he has the right coach, and this is the other nice thing about where a lot of teams are now, they don't have there's still some of these guys in the league, but like coaching wise, they're like, well, I have my system and you got to play within my system. It feels like coaching has gotten a lot better where it's like, what do you do well? All right, like let's try to build around that for year 1 or 2 and then like develop the offense from that. Like they try to go with what they're good at early on and then maybe flesh it out from there. So I think Richardson can be successful if he goes to a spot where they're willing to do that. If it goes to a very rigid spot, he's probably SOL from the jump.
Well, number 10 on this list will be Will Levis. Lugs, you remember that TV show Cannon back in the day? William Conrad? It was a cop show. I'm Cannon. Remember
His
that?
profile.
Yeah. Remember, he was kind of he was built like a fire plug, a little stout fella.
Yeah.
Get ready for the nickname. Will Cannon Arm Levis.
Oh, okay.
Future Hall of Famer. Okay, move on. That's all. That's all.
Well, since we're boasting about these guys, since we feel that Bryce Young is gonna go number 1 overall, does anyone want to start as the imaginary agent to try to pitch their guy as the second guy off the board? Do you want to start, Lugs?
Yeah. I got to go with Coleridge Bernard, C.J. Stroud the fourth.
Coleridge.
You know, if you look at tape, the man, he holds a bunch of Ohio State records. He had the most yards in a single game, 573. He was the first player to throw 6 touchdowns 3 times, Heisman Trophy finalist a couple of years. The only knock at this point is that S2 cognition test. And you know, when did he take that test? Had he been out, you know, maybe hefting a few? We don't know any of that stuff. So I'm telling you, he has the body. And I listened to an interview with Ryan Day, the Ohio State head coach, and he said the first year they kept it vanilla as far as the offense. The second year, he said you could see he was seeing the field real well. And he said last year he just got it. He clicked in and he was seeing the field. Now, he does have probably the best receiving group in football. That would be pro or college. So that's an advantage. And also in that Georgia game, you saw the man can run. You know, he was running for his life a couple of times, but he escaped alive, so that counts. So I just think physically he is prototypical of what you're looking for. He can run if he has to, but he's more of a pocket passer. And, you know, if Carolina were to get him and Frank Reich, those guys, they'd have him in tip-top form at 2 years in.
To cast your votes for C.J. Stroud, call 1-800-CJ-STROUD. I heard him on the radio, Lugs, and he said, I'm not a test taker. I'm a football player. Just watch.
Hey?
That's what your guy said.
So did you all want to I'll say this before. I don't know if you want to go next, J-Boy, but I just want to say this about C.J. Stroud. I believe the cognition test has some validity to it, but I will give Lugs this. It's still early on in this test, so you know they've only done it like a few years. And it's really hard for me to like completely look at that number, 18%. And to be fair to like what Lug said, you look at what he did actually on the field against a defense that for 2 years just run roughshod over pretty much everybody. And like he really should have won that game. It was actually Day that went way too conservative and settled for a field goal. Like he I mean, that's the ultimate test to like prove like, can you play quarterback? But like, you're going to hold that in a lower evaluation than a S2 cognition test. Like that's the part where I have a problem with. I like I said, I actually like this S2 cognition test, but it does trouble me if you're like, he did him 2 years like as a starter, and you're just looking at cognition test like, but look how bad the cognition test is. Like, never mind. What are we doing?
Right. I mean, it's and again, I have to go back to the fact Ryan Day said that the day before, anyway, leading up to when he took that test, he had 104 interviews. Think about that. Yeah. 104 times you got to say, yes, I'm God in cleats. I want to play for the home. You've got all this nonsense that you're just, it's 104 job interviews essentially in 3 or 4 days. That's crazy. Yeah, all I can say is go to the videotape, even though there's no videotape anymore. But just watch the man play.
Just watch YouTube.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go next. You ready? My name is Levis. Will Levis. I'm an American football quarterback for the Kentucky Wildcats. Previously playing for Penn State, the Nittany Lions, before transferring to Kentucky in 2021. 6'3", 231 pounds. I have a degree in finance and was born in Massachusetts, sons of pioneers, and went to high school in Connecticut, I think. My last name is Levis. I like Levi's, and my arm has been registered to the U.S. Army Artillery under Cannon. What more do you need? Levis is my name. Levi's is my brand. Football is my game. I stand down, sir.
All I got to say to that is I got to quote my man, Dan Issel.
Yeah.
Dan Issel calls him leftist. He done left us.
Not left which, left us. Okay, yeah. Dan Issel. He's the man of the words, is he not? He's the wordsmith, I think.
Yeah.
I guess my real quick thing I'll say in defense of Levis, even though I know I haven't been his biggest champion, is one, it sounds like he was beaten to hell last year. Like it sounds like he was getting shot up because of injuries that he took on early, and he gutted it through, and he wasn't surrounded by the best talent. And the other thing that I'll defend him on is some people were like, well, he didn't beat out Sean Clifford, who is in this draft and is probably going to be a free agent, or maybe at best he's taken in the 7th round.
Right.
Again, another quarterback I wasn't a big fan of coming out. People held Joe Flacco, who left Pittsburgh and went to Delaware. Well, he couldn't beat out Tyler Flacco. Well, I think after seeing his career in the NFL and Tyler Flacco's NFL career, we can honestly say Joe Flacco was better. The coach at Pitt just made a bad decision. Like, when can we not say that? The college coaches are not like perfect at understanding talent.
Nope.
So, anyway.
All right, T-Dog, who you got?
I am Anthony Richardson. I know everyone's worried about my accuracy last year, but it was my first year in this new offense. I was surrounded by talents that, let's be honest, most of these guys are not going to play on Sunday. I got all the tangibles in terms of exceptional size, strength, and speed. And, something that people kind of undersell, my intangibles aren't bad either. I have a good sense of pressure and moving in the pocket. I can make full field reads, and I'm a hard worker. Here's another thing that people don't give me enough credit. I had 15-yard runs in 9 of my 12 games last year. I broke 39 tackles last year. I know I'm still developing, but the sheer talent to overwhelm teams at times while I'm gaining experience and getting my skills higher are on the table. And, my ceiling is that of possibly being a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen. So just, I'm maybe not the best shooter as Bucky Brooks from NFL would say, but I'm definitely a scorer. So, and maybe with time I can become a shooter.
I'm a shooter. Yeah? Lugs, what do you think?
Well, I like his.
Yeah.
His athleticism. You can't fault him at all. I mean, he was the fastest quarterback at the combine. He essentially flat-footed jumped. 46 inches? I mean, think about that. I mean,
That's sick. That's sick.
That's totally having springs for legs. And he's an imposing specimen. So he will hold up. I would say if he were lucky, he would end up in Seattle, basically spend that 2 years behind Geno Smith, and then they can move him in.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah, I like him a lot.
I think my basement ceiling down here is only about 46 inches, to be honest. He'd have trouble in this room.
Boing.
With that vertical leap. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
I guess just to finish up on Anthony Richardson, he's a guy with the beginning of the draft, and maybe it's because this draft thing goes on too long. I've really kind of warmed up to him, and kind of like what Lugs is saying. Like, if he goes to the Seahawks, if he goes to like the Lions, where he gets to kind of just like learn the offense and kind of sit and develop, and he's going to be surrounded by talent in both those spots. I think he can, once he kind of breaks through, he can be really something spectacular. I'm not going to say that he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like we said, I don't know if any of these guys are Hall of Famer, but I think his chances of being a good quarterback, which, let's say he's a serviceable starter for eight to 10 years. I think that's a real possibility. So,
and I think Pete Carroll always loved sort of a unicorn player. I mean, when our boy was in his prime there in Seattle,
Russell,
he was something to watch, and it's whatever. The Denver thing, he just fell off the end of the table. Too much contemplation of life or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but Pete, can't we just hand the ball off to beast mode, man? Don't throw that pass in that Super Bowl.
Oh, well, that was Pete one time using his brain instead of his gumption. He yeah. And I guarantee he'd say that too. He'd say that,
Crazy.
Given that choice ever. Yeah, you're going to let Beast Mode, because Beast Mode had just torn him a new one on that drive.
Game over.
So,
All right, let's do a little, what do you say, sports of yesteryear, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more on the DRAFT, which starts at 8 Eastern Time, Thursday night, on the ESPN family of networks. You ready, Lugs?
Here we go.
Take it away, baby.
All right, 1876, Chicago Cubs' first National League game. They beat Louisville. I didn't know Louisville had a team. 4-0. It was the first National League shutout. 1947, Lou Thez beats Whipper Watson in St. Louis to win National Wrestling Association heavyweight title. 1965, 19th NBA championship. Boston Celtics beat LA Lakers 4-1. That game was watched by then 9-year-old Larry Bird, who would go on to be an all-star. 1974, NFL moves goalpost and adopts sudden death playoff. I guess they got tired of guys running into the goalpost when it was at the front of the end zone. 1993 NFL Draft. Washington State quarterback Drew Bledsoe, first pick by New England Patriots. Didn't go so well. 2019 NFL Draft. Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray, number 1 pick by Arizona, and they're still trying to get him away from PS2. Okay, that's it for this edition of Sports of Yesteryear.
Woo, getting away from PS2. Okay, go back sometime, fellas. Go back and watch on YouTube those old football games played at Wrigley Field. You're talking about the goalposts when they moved them to the back of the end zone. Well, back then they were in the front at the goal line. And one end zone is only 8 yards deep. because there wasn't enough room because the brick wall was right there. And you see Gale Sayers and Butkus and those guys, and it's like crazy. And that goalpost, Lugs, you're right. How did they miss that thing? They did.
Well, I'm sure there are guys who just wiped out on it. And it was double. It was a double standard. It wasn't a single standard. It was a double. So you had to, double your chances, double your fun, or whatever.
Yeah, good stuff. But I love watching those old football films like that when they're hand cranking the film. Okay, T-Dog, what else we got today on the draft? It's coming up quick.
So I guess just in terms of the NFL draft, we'll have 3 questions. That's always fun because it's always about irrational exuberance, the NFL draft. And some people should ride that high because it's going to carry into the season. Some people, maybe it tapers off, but at least they have maybe something to look forward to at the end of the season for maybe next year. And then some people, they fall completely into the abyss of darkness and despair and realize this team is in trouble for at least a half a decade, if not longer. So with that, I ask you all, who do you think wins this draft? Who maybe enters into relevancy and who misfires and slips into that deep darkness that which no one really ever returns?
Lugs, I got my thoughts. Who you got, man? Go.
I was just going to say, if, and it's a capital IF, if the Patriots were to pick Will Levis, I think they win big time. He is what Bill loves. The hoodie loves a tall, athletic, strong quarterback. So I would say that they would win on that. Of course, man, when you look at that East, AFC East, that'll be a tall order. But that would be, that's my qualifier about who would come out of the draft really well.
All right, mine is the Charlotte Panthers. I think if they get this quarterback right, I think with all the pieces they've added, they'll be exciting to watch. They step it up. That's my pick for wins the draft.
Okay. Mine, I'm going with the Detroit Lions.
Whoa.
I think they have a good roster that just barely missed the playoffs last year. Really, that letdown against Carolina allowed them not to be in the playoff contention last year. They have 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and 1 third-round pick. They should get possibly 4 starters out of this draft, which I don't know if you all agree what would define usually a good draft. A very good draft is if you get 2 starters out at the jump.
And you think
draft.
4?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's like an exceptional draft.
That'd be
like
unbelievable.
Seahawks last year, they turned around because they essentially got 5 starters out of last year's draft. Like that's where you have like that great one. And like the Saints with 2017, that really turned them around and kind of revitalizing what it looked like Sean Payton was going on a dip there for a minute. So I think they can get 4 starters out of it. And again, I know we represented them, but like they should be in line to possibly. It sounds like they might have a possibility at Levis, Richardson, and Stroud with their 6th overall pick. So if they get that guy at that point, with the talent they already have around them, like I said, like this could be them stepping into possibly becoming the Green Bay. Now the Green Bay is not Green Bay anymore.
Plus, you got Goff holding a clipboard or helping somebody out for another year at least. So, and we kind of like him. He came on strong at the end of last year.
Yeah, and I like both of your olds because like I agree with Lugs because they're at 14th pick New England. They I know it's out of their way to do it, but you've heard differing things on it. But like Levis, if they trade up and they get Levis, I think that could really work. And Kyle the J-Boy, even though maybe I know Lugs and I aren't maybe as sold on him staying durable, I think Bryce Young's really talented. So if he stays healthy, they have like a fairly good team around him. They should, and you look at the NFC South, they should be in contention to win it.
Not
this
much
year.
there.
So
Yeah.
So who do you think, again, I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team. Who do you think after this draft will be relevant? Like maybe what the Lions were last year. Maybe they barely miss out, or maybe they slip in as the 7th seed and they get washed in the wild card round.
Lugs, I think you're coming up with somebody wild, man. I'm reading your mind at this moment.
I'm not going to say the Texans. I'm tempted. I'm definitely tempted. I think that Tampa Bay will come back, even with our boy there. If we can get him to mature a little bit and shut his mouth, Baker, they've got some talent on both sides of the ball, and they can draft where they are in the draft is not the greatest, but they should be able. If they got Bijan Robinson, whoa,
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
that would be just absolutely amazing. So I think they become relevant just because of the moves that they've made.
All right, here's my relevant team. It's a homer pick for me, but it's the Bears, and here's why. I think I really like the new GM. I like the way he's thinking. I like what they've done so far. I think Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields has a chance to be like a Jalen Hurts coming forward. If he gets protection, he's got a number one receiver now. They've kind of got the running game figured out. I think they're going to have a stronger offensive line. I think they'll inch their way up to win half as many games as they, you know what I mean? Like go 8, 9, 10, maybe 8, 9 wins. I don't know. Maybe. And I just think it's a shot. This is the year. If the kid can't make it, they're going to go shopping. So he knows that too, that kid being Fields. And so I think they got a shot to inch up from being the number one pick overall before the trade to being a team respectable in the middle that people won't want to face. And they're in a division that, like you said, it's anybody's to win.
Yeah. Look, I'm sipping the same thing J-Boy is. I mean, I know it's a big homer play. I know, shocking, but they have the 9th pick. They have 2 second-round picks, and they have the first pick in the 3rd round. So similar to the Lions, realistically, and maybe this isn't being realistic. This is just being optimistic. They should get at least 3 early starters out of this class. They should, and particularly if they hit on a pass rusher and an offensive lineman. Particularly, hopefully, a tackle with that first overall pick, because I don't think Jalen Carter will be there or Tyree Wilson. I'd be willing to shift it if those guys are available, but I don't think either of them will be there. But I think they'll get out of the basement, but kind of like what J-Boy's saying, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I mean, again, with maybe how the division's up, maybe they do sneak in as a 7 seed, but they still they still have holes that can't be addressed through this draft and free agency. Currently that what's left there to become like a true contender, but I think they won't be a pushover. I will say that.
Good.
Yeah, they better get themselves a good left tackle. That's all I can say.
I hope, I pray.
I stay awake at night, hoping for that.
Having visions of Roderick Jones or Paris Johnson Jr.
I like him.
Yeah.
There's Skoronski, even though he's maybe not like a tackle, but even still, like he helps them. But so now we swing the other way.
Dun, 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 dun.
The Nietzsche's abyss.
Nietzsche. Wait, at first on this program, T-Dog quotes Nietzsche. Nietzsche.
Who is going to be looking into the abyss and see the monster looking back at them?
Oakland. I just have no faith in Josh McDaniel. I just have none. That thing's going to tank.
Viva Las Vegas. Yeah.
That would be it for me, Friend of the show, Larry Hanley's already got all of his black and silver on, but it ain't going to help.
Friend of the show. Tal Makota.
Ty
Mokadoke. Okay, man, how do you follow that? Okay. I'm going to go with, I forgot I was trying to talk about. I'm going to use the aforementioned, however you pronounce that. Houston Texans. Okay, they're not going to do a whole lot better. Now, DeMeco Ryans, I like that guy, but he's a first-time head coach. Got to give him a little love. I don't think they're going to come out sensational on this situation. I think they're just trying to figure it out. And that owner's a whack job, and I hope he backs this coach and lets him do his thing. But you remember how he treated Lovey and the guy. Who was the guy before Lovey? We already forgot.
He was
the coach forever.
David Coley.
Yeah, David Coley gave him 1 year. Who's going to take that
And
job?
before that, wasn't it Bill O'Brien? Was it
was.
Bill O'Brien?
It was Bill O'Brien. Yeah.
So they're a train wreck. You got a nice stadium. You can dance in there, and they have a nice Final Four when they do it. But I'm not thinking they're coming anywhere better than they already are. Next.
I just love when J-Boy and Lugs bring up dancing.
Yeah.
I didn't know you all were such great dancers.
Len Goodman died. May he rest in peace. 78 years old. From Dancing with the Stars. Remember him?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. But people talk about him later. Go ahead.
I'm kind of again. I'm swinging what Lugs is saying. The Raiders of Vegas. I'm just. McDaniels this offseason, Jetson, a more talented quarterback for Garoppolo. And again, I think all of us like Garoppolo, but again, it's kind of like what we're talking about with Bryce Young. Even though Bryce Young has yet to show it, Garoppolo can't stay healthy. So, I mean, it's great that maybe he knows the system. It's great that he knows the system better than Derek Carr, but like how many games are you going to get? Is he going to get the 65% like Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. But then you send Darren Waller away, who I know missed a lot of games, but at least when he's on the field, he's a dynamic playmaker. And look, I'm not hating on Jacoby Meyer. He's a great he's a good receiver, and quote Lugs, I'm sure he's a fine dancer, but he's just a solid receiver. He's not like a game breaker like Waller when he's right is. They need to draft a quarterback at 7. They need to draft a quarterback at 7. And they can't wait till like the 4th round and get like Aiden O'Connell, who again, I think he could have a good career, but their defense is a mess. They only have Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. So you have 2 out of 11 positions right on that thing. And they went 7-10 last year.
Yeah.
And you just look at the Chiefs and the Chargers, they're going to be in the mix for the next 15 years. And even though I know some of us here maybe aren't a fan of Sean Payton and his prickly personality, we all believe he's a good coach.
Yeah.
So barring, Russell Wilson or not, that team's going to turn it around quickly. So they have to hit on this draft or they are going to be what they've been since they lost the Super Bowl against the Bucks. They are going to be afterthought.
He's a cheater, but he's a good coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, I've got one wild-ass one here.
All right, let her rip. Let her rip.
I'm saying Kansas City will take Hooker from Tennessee.
What?
Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Why?
I think that because he is similar in style to Mahomes,
Yeah.
and you got to have, in this day and age, you got to have plenty of players at each position because people just get beat up all the time. Now, Mahomes has been very lucky. He's not been nicked up that badly, but I just think that would be a guy because you get him for nothing on that rookie deal for 5 years. And in 5 years, Mahomes could, unfortunately take a few shots and whatever.
Dude, Hooker's
that's one of my wild ass.
He's already getting Medicare, dude. He's 25 years old and he'll be 30 by the end of his rookie deal. You want to go with some of that? He's 25. He played college football like 7 years.
Andy likes an adult in the room. He doesn't like to mess around with goofballs. Check him out.
How about them cheese?
I mean, he went with Alex Smith, who,
True.
Let's be honest, was really one guy, a one-legged dancer to keep this dance thing going in circles.
All right,
all he could do was waltz.
I can't watch those commercials he's in when they show his leg. That just grosses me out. Alex Smith. All right, who was the quarterback who just retired? Was McCombs? Was Patrick's backup? He just retired.
Oh, it's Chad Henne.
Chad Henne. I mean, he was solid. And you're right. He's gone. So.
I mean, maybe he falls. Again, we thought Malik Willis was going to go in the first round. He goes in the third. I will give you this, Lugs. If he falls like that, then yes, I can see the Chiefs taking him. I don't see them. It feels like he's maybe going first, probably legitimately second round. If he slips to third, I could see them maybe taking him. But I don't know. They have a lot of money tied up in Patrick Mahomes.
Right, but they wouldn't have any money tied up in him at all.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not. So maybe if he's around in the second round.
He'd make like
Okay.
$3 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he'll do okay. He'll do Teddy money.
Yeah.
So
J-Boy,
Yeah.
do you have any wild prediction?
I don't. I can't top that.
You know, wild prediction?
No.
All right.
Yeah, go for yours.
My wild prediction is that Jalen Carter, it sounds like, I've seen drafts where he slips, and I know this isn't wild, but this is me almost guaranteeing he will be drafted by either the Seahawks at 5 or the Lions at 5.
Whoa.
Like, I just feel they need that. The Lions have Aiden Hutchinson. They just need that other guy on that front that gives them that extra juice, because their defense really kind of turned around last year, but they really just need some extra pressure. So if they get him, because they're all about just power on the lines, so that would kind of fit their motif. And again, going back to Pete Carroll, the Legion of Boom, I know the secondary got all the pub, but what really made that defense go, the engine of that defense was Bennett, and was Michael Bennett, and he probably envisions him as his new Michael Bennett. So I don't see him getting past 5 or 6. Like, that's where he stops. He does not drop to the Bears at 9. He doesn't drop to the Eagles at 10. So
yeah, I agree with you that if Detroit got him, and I think he would fit with Detroit because they're just smash mouth players. Instantly, I'd have to give them at least 7 out of 10 to take the top in the NFC North.
Wow. All right. Early season prediction.
Yeah. And when similar to Seattle, like I said, it's not only the Michael Bennett thing. Like, Pete Carroll's been on the receiving end of Aaron Donald for how many years? And he's like, I want my own Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. What else tonight?
Well, we were talking a little bit about Trey Lance.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Trey Lance, they can't trade him. He has no real value right now. He has to come back and play.
You're right.
The only way I think that they could trade him would they'd have to do a bundle like Ayuk, or you'd have to sweeten that deal because you're not going to get anything for Trey Lance. So I think he's stuck there, and I think depending how Purdy comes back, it's so the Trey Lance stuff I just don't believe in at all. As far as trading.
So, like that bundle, can I get HBO with that deal, or what were you talking about? A bundle, man? Is that,
Well, yeah. I mean, you can get
ESPN.
Circle Television and watch all that country music. Can
I get Get TV? Chuck Norris TV?
the only way Trey Lance gets traded, I think, is if I'll just keep this brief on the Trey Lance thing. I think if the Texans, for whatever reason, pass on a quarterback at second round, with the second overall pick, and they also have the 20th, they pass on. They just try to free up, and maybe they give their second round pick or third round pick to Trey Lance. Because again, to be at least fair to what Logan's saying, you're not going to get a first round or even a second round for what Trey Lance. He's only played 3 games. He's only started 3 games.
True, that's right.
And he's shown he does not have durability issues. It's pretty alarming for how much assets they gave up for him that they're willing to wash their hands. So kind of going back to Logan's point, like, how do you really ship is like, we gave up 3 first-round picks, and now we're just trying to offload him. We believe in Sam Darnold, who's been a train wreck with the Jets and the Panthers.
Everybody.
So, but and maybe I'm just full of it. I still think he can turn it around. I know this is just probably be like going down with the ship on this, but I still think, he played a pro style offense with North Dakota State. He has durability issues, but so did Stafford. He only started 13 games in his first 2 years, and then he started every game for the next 8. So like sometimes those durability issues are kind of random. I still think he's got a lot of talent. His last full start, I'm not counting that Bears game that started the year where it was a monsoon. He threw for 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and ran for 31 yards. So, like, I still think he's got talent. So I think one of these teams that maybe doesn't believe in any of these quarterbacks, and maybe you could take Trey Lance with like a second or third. And if he doesn't work out this year, you can maybe get Caleb Williams or get Drake May.
True.
So like, just try to fill. Always you should be trying to fix your quarterback. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. Move on to the next one.
Excellent point. Excellent point. I have one question for you, T-Dog. When Doug Flutie was with the Calgary Stampeders, was Mark Trestman his quarterback coach? Remember Trestman?
I don't know if he was a quarterback's coach. I thought Mark Trestman had a lot of his success with the Alouettes.
Alouettes.
That's who he was. He
Jean
was
de
a coach.
Plumeray.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah. Look, you'll enjoy this. This is how they try to sell him as a head coach for the Bears. He won 4 Grey Cups or what? It's like, well, whoop-de freaking do. It's like no one cares.
Grey Cup.
The field is like 4 times the NFL field. I mean, if I get a break on a guy, I'm going to run a long, long way. I may even stop and have a soda and then continue. I mean, seriously.
Grey Cup, yeah. Duck, Grey Cup, yeah. Wow. Trestman. Anyway, brought that back to me. So I think we're done for tonight, eh?
Yo.
Okay. Sports and other stuff. Yeah, we're all finished this one. Wow, put this in the books. Brought to you by Big Top TV. Yes, the big screen store. Provider of these large 90-inch flat screens on our set. Shield your eyes. Stop in and ask for our guy. He's there tonight. His name is
Fish. And since his favorite actor, Al Pacino, was born this week in 1940, that makes him 83 for those of you scrambling for a calculator. Anyway, this time around, Fish is hosting a Pacino Famous Movie Quotes Fest. Come on down this Saturday at 1 p.m. and take your turn at the mic, offering such gems as "Say hello to my little friend" from Scarface, or you could go with "There are 2 kinds of people in this world, those who stand up and face the music and those who run for cover. Cover is better." That's from The Sin of a Woman. That's this Saturday at 1 p.m. Enjoy a spaghetti and meatball lunch for $10 and raise money for the Failed Actor Studio. And remember, as Tony Montana said in Scarface, "I always tell the truth even when I tell a lie."
My favorite actually was "I'll take a flamethrower to this place" from Son of a Woman. Remember that one? That's it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back next week. So long for just a while. Bye-bye.